I wanted to hit this story up right here. I think this is important. U.S. may strip SEC of powers in regulatory overhaul. The Obama administration may call for stripping the Securities and Exchange Commission of some of its powers under a regulatory reorganization that could be unveiled as soon as next week. People familiar with the matter said the proposal is still being drafted. It is likely to give the Federal Reserve more authority to supervise financial firms deemed too big to fail. So the Federal Reserve, who openly is saying they just lost, what is it, $3 trillion, $4 trillion? They just printed they gave out that $700 billion, which is really them stealing $14 trillion, because again, what they lend out compared to the Federal Reserve. And the Federal Reserve, really merging even further with the IMF during the G20. I mean, this is unbelievable. The Fed may inherit some SEC functions, with others going to other agencies, the people said. On the table, giving oversight of mutual funds to a bank regulator, or a bank regulator, or a new agency to police consumer finance products, two people said. The 75-year-old SEC, chartered to oversee Wall Street and safeguard investors, has seen its reputation tarnished as some lawmakers blamed it for the incipient financial crisis and failing to detect Bernie Madoff's $65 billion Ponzi scheme. The whole thing's a Ponzi scheme. I mean, come on. Let's go to Sean in Minneapolis. Sean, you're on the line. Yes, sir.
Hello there, Jason. I want to get your thoughts on a particular false flag that since 9/11 has been overshadowed, and I don't think is getting enough attention, even though it's been 14 years now. Oklahoma City. What's your perspective on that?
Well, I mean, look at all the evidence that you've got, and if you could turn down the radio in the background. Look at all the evidence you have. Let's look at Timothy McVeigh, for example. Timothy McVeigh is on film a year after he's supposedly out of the military, on a military base. The only media outlet that even talks about this and publishes it is Hustler Magazine. The videos are readily available on YouTube. He's in and out of tanks. He's on base. He's in uniform. Then you have the Ryder truck scenario, where a Ryder truck 2 weeks before the attacks is for some reason magically on an Oklahoma City base. Then you have the live videotapes of the events where Frank Keating, the governor, is on the phone with the local media and on camera with the local media talking about how there was 3 sophisticated bombs that did not go off, that were even bigger than the first, that were taken out by the bomb squad. And you can actually watch the bomb squad going in. Okay, you know that this is open record stuff. Then you find out, well, they're running a drill that morning, so the entire ATF section that's supposed to be in that building is actually in full bomb gear on the lawn.
There's always a drill going on, too, when these false flags occur. That's why I don't get these mainstreamers. Why aren't people picking up on this? There's always a drill going on. You'll notice that, and no matter where in the world it happens. On the day of 7/7, there was a drill going on.
Mm-hmm. It's magic, sir. It's magical coincidence with unicorns rode by leprechauns into a sea of gold and happiness. I mean, I don't understand. Well, listen, when they're running a drill, the head of Visor Consultants gets on television and BBC, Sky Television and BBC Radio, and he says, we're running a 1,000-man war game of blowing up the same exact 3 train stations at the same exact time. The hair on my arms is literally standing up. And he's like, I won't say their names, but the people we were running the drill for, they know who they are, and I am very unnerved by this. And I'm just thinking to myself, oh my God, does this guy even realize what he's a part of? And obviously he has no idea. He's an unwitting duper. He wouldn't win on television and radio talking about it. Those are the only 2 interviews where he talks about it. Then the media refuses to follow up on it, and people say, oh, that is just an extraordinary coincidence, and then it's totally and completely dropped. About a year and a half, 2 years ago, We Are Change Ireland confronts Peter Power about it, asks him who he was running the drills for. He gets very upset, and then he walks into a closet, sir. He walks into a closet. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
Incredible. Yeah. Back to Oklahoma City. Whatever happened to, what the heck was he? Was he Army Intelligence? It was some guy, I think it was Army Intelligence or something like that, and he went before Congress and said, we need to do a thorough investigation because I'm suspicious about the explosion and how that occurred? Because
it was Benton Parton. Colonel Benton Parton did that book, and he was basically, I think he was part of the demolitions team, and he knew that building had been taken out with a bomb from inside, and it looked like demolition cutter charges. I mean, folks, if you believe that was a Ryder truck, why wouldn't they just release the video of the Ryder truck blowing up? Why did they have numerous witness accounts and the FBI openly putting out a description of a John Doe number 2? Why have people claimed to see the videos and prove that it wasn't just McVeigh there? Why make it all about one guy when this is obviously a sophisticated operation? It just blows my mind to this day. The best information I've seen about it are in Alex Jones's Masters of Terror and, of course, 9/11: The Road to Tyranny. I encourage people to pick them up at Infowars.com and make copies and hand them out. I thank you for the call, Sean. Now, this is the journalist I was talking about earlier in the program, Jonathan Kay, that wants to write a book, apparently, about 9/11 Truth and 9/11 Truthers. And although he wrote some pretty demeaning articles about 9/11 Truth itself, this one was rather fair. 3 years ago, Richard Gay says he was just a run-of-the-mill architect designing steel frame buildings for clients in the San Francisco area. In March 2006, that changed. While flipping through stations on his car radio, he caught an interview with David Ray Griffin, a retired philosophy and religious professor who calls the official account of the 9/11 attacks one big lie, which it is. Beginning that day, Gage became skeptical of the idea that people living in Afghan caves could possibly have brought down the World Trade Center. Spreading this skeptical point of view is now the man's full-time job. As radical as Gage's theory may sound to readers, it's surprisingly popular. The 9/11 Truth Movement, as it is now commonly called, has millions of adherents across the world. Many believe that the World Trade Center was destroyed on September 11th through controlled demolition set in motion by officials within America's own government and military. That's also pretty fair. In 2006 Scripps Howard poll of 1,010 U.S. citizens, 36% of respondents said it was very likely or somewhat likely that the U.S. government was in on the 9/11 plot. According to another poll conducted in Canada, 39% of respondents said they either disagree or are unsure that Al-Qaeda was responsible for 9/11. What makes Gage stand out from the millions of students and young activists who comprise the bulk of the truther community is that he is an architect, and a respectable-looking middle-aged one at that, complete with a suit and tie and a receding hairline. His group, Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth, even scored a booth at the upcoming American Institute of Architects Conference from April 30th to May 2nd. Last Saturday, I went to see Gage speak at a Montreal event hosted by the movement, I can't even pronounce that, along with 150 others. Not a bad crowd, given the $10 cover charge and the fact it was hockey night. As part of my research for a book I'm writing on the Truther movement, I've gone to see a variety of events like this, but none of the speakers I've seen are as lucid as Gage. Truthers often are prone to rambling. Your average speaker at a 9/11 Truth event taking the podium with an overflowing sheaf of internet printouts might start his presentation on the mechanics of the World Trade Center attacks, segue into a denunciation of George W. Bush's war crimes, and then veer into a lengthy disquisition of the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing, before bringing the audience back to the Twin Towers. Not Gage. His singular focus laboriously examines a 527-slide PowerPoint presentation is the sequence of events leading to the collapse of the World Trade Center buildings. Expertise is critical to the mission of Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth, he says. We're building and technical professionals. Gage told the audience, we're not conspiracy theorists. And, you know, he does stick to it, and we had Gage on, and this guy actually brought one of his friends who, you know, usually scoffs at these kind of ideas, and by the end of the presentation, the only person that had raised his hand and said that they believed the official version was the author of this, out of 150 people, and even the person he brought wasn't buying it. Final segment of the Info Warrior on the other side, 866-582-9933.
The world appears to be on the brink of collapse. Experts say a pinch of heirloom vegetable seed could soon be the most valuable resource on Earth because it will provide healthy food now and every year after. Survivalistseeds.com now has the Heirloom Garden Seed Time Capsule, allowing you to store your seeds for the future anywhere, even underground, for 100 years. The Heirloom Garden Seed Time Capsule can withstand 3 tons of weight, is 100% rodent-proof, waterproof, and comes with a whopping 6,000 healthy vegetable seeds from 20 varieties that will grow anywhere in the USA. Unless you trust the government, The Heirloom Garden Seed Time Capsule and Heirloom Seeds from SurvivalistSeeds.com is your long-term food solution. Our competition charges 10 cents to $1.25 per seed for these same heirloom varieties. But you can now have a head of lettuce, a bundle of carrots, a basket of tomatoes, a giant watermelon, and 16 other varieties for about a penny a seed each. Be prepared. Buy your heirloom seeds today from SurvivalistSeeds.com and have food insurance for your family forever. Visit SurvivalistSeeds.com. SurvivalistSeeds.com is owned by Big John Lipscomb, host of the Don't Tread on Me radio show.